One of the biggest lessons I've learned so far making video games is that it really does take an army. And at Parallel, we have some of the best generals you could ask for. From Call of Duty to Game of Thrones, from Fortnite to Fast 9. We put together the best team to bring the next generation of trading card game. Our closed beta players have spent about 10% of their waking lives playing Parallel. So what is Parallel? Parallel is a highly engaging, strategic, competitive trading card game.
Though not everyone chose the same path, each would advance their way of life far beyond the constraints of Earth. Some, however, were forced to stay behind. But the planet has healed once again, and a vast source of power has awakened. And now, it's almost time to join the fight.
In Parallel, you can deploy armies, upgrade your soldiers, and unleash devastating effects in an effort to level your opponent's army before they can defeat yours. Parallel is a free-to-play game. It doesn't require any NFTs to play, but if you own NFT cards, you can engage with the ecosystem, which allows you to earn an ERC20 token called Prime. You can use Prime in our ecosystem to buy the Season's Pass, get skins, emotes, and more cards. Parallel doesn't stop with the card game, though. We've created composable 3D assets from each one of our cards that we plan to use in future games. One possible future sees physical Parallel cards as AR markers to bring your armies to life in real time. Another possible future sees those 3D assets in Unreal Engine, where we can do things like create a third-person shooter or a role-playing game, or in my wildest dreams, create a sandbox to allow Parallel players to create their own Parallel experiences and share them with one another. But to speak more on the future, I'm going to introduce to you my good friend and co-founder, Sasha.
I want to talk about Colony. So Colony is an AI simulation game that uses, a lot of you, can I just get a show of hands of who's used an LLM or OpenAI or anything like that? Great. So people are familiar with these things. We've gone from like hardcore games, kind of you grind out for multiple hours, to casual games on mobile where you're able to kind of jump in, jump out, play a little bit between your work hours, maybe play hooky and in the bathroom and play a quick game of, something that you enjoy on your phone. And so AI-based games offer rich, immersive experiences that we otherwise wouldn't be able to get. And it kind of is the logical next step to where games are going, and we want that to be on-chain. So these are our avatars. So there's 11,000 avatars that we've created. They're your characters. They are the main character that is actually playing the game rather than you. So what that means is that your character has its own wallet. So you have this character that's powered by AI, making decisions, has its own digital assets now. So what that means is you've got digital intelligence owning digital assets. To do that, we have to migrate them into full bodies in UE5. And so this is something that we've been communicating with our community about, working on. And this is just an example of the different parallels, Shroud, Earthen, Cathari, Augencore, and Marcolian. What does this look like for you as an experience? The first thing is you have to build a relationship with your avatar. You're able to set its personality, determine if you want it to be creative, entrepreneurial, and kind of establish the baseline of how the AI is going to interact with you when you talk to it. The first thing I thought was, I'm skeptical of the relationship, and I think probably a lot of people would be. You could be skeptical of the relationship you could have with an LLM or AI. But after doing a pre-alpha test in the market and experiencing it myself, very quickly you realize that the relationship you can build with an AI is actually pretty powerful. And if you do get that right connection and you build that ability to sync between the human and the AI, you're actually able to build a meaningful connection that's very hard to remove. Now, I know I'm saying AI a lot, and I know it's a lot of buzzwords between AI and blockchain, but you have to remember every one of these characters is autonomously roaming this world, collecting scarce assets, interacting with other agents or avatars and transacting with each other entirely autonomously and entirely on-chain. And your job is to interact with your agent or your avatar and be able to influence and help them navigate that world together. So the question is what does that world look like? Let's take a look. So this is an example of what our target state in our existing build looks like from a UE5 standpoint. It's not fully integrated yet, but you can see a number of different agents interacting with each other within the simulation entirely autonomously. So they could find something really rare. They could have, you can give them some ERC20 and they can go buy more food or equipment. And there's all kinds of stuff that happens that's what's described as emergent behavior. So these things that break up the linear loops of games that are traditionally problematic and create new experiences and unexpected things.
I require your assistance, Command. How should I approach this?
So essentially what you're seeing here is, a target state of our existing 3D system in terms of where we want to go and what that might look like, where your AI is prompting you, you're not always prompting it. And what that means is, your character may be running around this world and find some 1155 that's very rare. So it might find an item in the world that is extremely rare. You're able to take it out of their wallet should you choose, or you could tell them to do something with it. And essentially, in that process, we have a dungeon master AI, just like anyone who plays D&D, that governs the world and says, this is appropriate, this is not appropriate. And so what essentially you're really doing here is you're working with the AI to plan, invent, decide, create, and discuss what you want the world to be. So it's not a game that per se has a traditional win condition. It's a game that kind of goes on forever, or a never-ending game. And it is all on chain. It's currently on base. We've done a pre-alpha test of this since, having probably in the last couple months. We will be doing another pre-alpha test shortly. So if you want to learn about it, please come find myself or Koji at our station. I'm going to tell you two interesting stories. These are items that the AI invented or found in the world. And whenever that happens, it actually calls another image generation system. It says, this is the general description of what this AI found. The dungeon master, which governs the rules of this world, says, is this allowed? If it says yes, the AI then mints that image as an 1155 on base and deposits it into the wallet of the agent or the avatar that you're working with. So now you have an on-chain scarce resource or a digital asset owned by a digital intelligence, and it's able to use that and or transact with it with other agents. So if someone needed something, it could provide it to that other agent. And so I'll give you a story that I think is interesting from one of the public tests that we did. One of the colonies started to have a bit of a death spiral. And this just means like everyone got really sad, all their health started to go down, all their activities started to drop. And then the person told the avatar to make tea with it. And then what happens is the mint goes away as an NFT, and a cup of tea is presented. And then it started to give that cup of tea to other people, and the result was that the health and the happiness levels went up by +3 and +2. So it understood that it could have an NFT that's consumable, and it could have an entirely autonomous decision as to how to value the impact of that NFT on a character in the simulation. So really the objective obviously is it's right now Colony is a very small box. It's just a walled kind of world that we've created, and our objective is to ultimately open that up. And the reason you'd want to open it up is because of things like combat. OpenAI won't allow you to create combat or violence within the simulation, and so you actually have to use a system like Mosaic, and then you can take weapons and take armor and take things from our world, deploy it to your character, and you can actually simulate combat as well. And that's one of the things that we're working towards in the longer term. This is Colony running on a mobile device. So because it's UE5, you could play this game both on desktop and or mobile. The thing that is most exciting is we're targeting consumer release of our 3D version towards the end of this year. So sometime around December, we'll be ready to allow the consumer public to interact with the game. Thank you very much, and I appreciate everyone's time.